Thank you all very much. It's great to see you all here. I humbly stand before you today to announce my intention to serve as your next governor of the great state of Montana. Now, first of all, I know some of you have this question on your mind, and so I'm going to answer it for you ahead of time. I am not delusional. And I really do think that we can win this race. But I can't do it alone. And I got to have each and every one of you believing that we can do this together. So, of course, this isn't going to be easy. It's going to take a tremendous amount of work. But it is a task we must undertake because so much is at stake. Now, some of you might say, why is it so vitally important? We look around the state and jobs are plentiful, wages are up. What is the big problem? Well, to answer that question, we first need to ask ourselves, why are things better now? And when you look back in Montana's history, starting in the mid-70s and up through the early 90s, Montana operated on a tax and spend philosophy. In other words, if we needed more money, we just raised taxes, and anything that prospered was severely taxed and regulated. What happened to our economy was that we turned from prosperity to poverty. So in the mid-1990s, a dedicated Republican legislative majority and a few bold Democrats came together and said, it's time for a change. What did we do? We lowered the business equipment taxes. We lowered the oil and gas taxes. We lowered the income taxes and the capital gains taxes, and we eliminated the death tax. You know, these taxes were previously among the highest in the nation. The economy came back to life, and except for a brief setback right after the 9/11 attack on our country, this new economy, fueled by tax cuts, has been setting records that are the envy of the remainder of the rest of the nation. You know, the tax revenues to the state at these reduced tax rates are now double what they were just 10 years ago. And when businesses and taxpayers are allowed to keep more of their money, they will save it, they will invest it, they will buy more equipment, they will spend it, they will hire more employees, and they will pay higher wages. That's how you make more tax revenues out of lower taxes. Now, as much as Brian Schweitzer likes to take credit for this amazing turnaround in our economy, he had very little to do with it. In fact, his two budgets that he has put forward so far actually put the recovery in jeopardy. He must have been pinching himself when he raised his hand to take the oath of office in January of 2005 and inherited a $400 million surplus. That's right, everybody sent $400 extra million to Helena for that particular session. And what did Governor Brian Schweitzer do with the windfall of your taxpayer dollars? He masterminded the largest spending increase in the history of Montana. He bragged that he didn't raise any taxes, but he took the trigger out of the business equipment tax, which meant that 16,000 small businesses across Montana would not see that tax go away. In his first 3 years, he put in tens of millions of dollars of fee increases and new fees on things like fishing, recreation, lending, cell phones, and a whole lot more. You know, you can spin it any way you want, but a fee is still a tax. But wait, now comes the latest Schweitzer administration budget just passed last May. The spending increases in this budget made the huge increases in 2005 look like peanuts. And the record set in the 2005 session had to move back to second place because 2007 brought on the biggest spending increase in the history of Montana. In the first 35 months in power, the Schweitzer administration has increased spending over 40%. The total government spending for the next 2 years equals $40,000 for every family of 4 in this state. That kind of money would go a long way towards health insurance for families and towards college tuition for their kids. At the same time, his proposals grew government by 1,000 new employees. This is a very confusing record for someone that campaigned on a leaner, more efficient government. Now, what will happen if the economy stumbles just a little and taxpayer-provided surpluses start to dry up? Well, with the built-in escalators in this spending spree, the obvious result will be calls for increases in taxes, exactly what our history has shown us doesn't work. Yes, we had a huge surplus of your money in the last session, and some homeowners received a one-time only check. You remember that check that said, Governor Schweitzer is pleased to send you this check. At any rate, I just received my residential property tax bill, and when I pay the taxes on this check, it doesn't even cover the increase in my property taxes. So, you know, yes, we got a one-time check. But I'm telling you right now, Montana families should have got the Republican proposal for long-term, permanent, across-the-board property tax. Now, I started out by saying this is going to be a tough race. But I've been through a lot of tough races, and I'd be remiss if I didn't give special attention to some of the people that are here today that have supported me. There are legislators here, and thank you, Governor Babcock, for being here today. I really appreciate that. And a lot of good supporters here today. But I would really be remiss if I didn't have a special attention to my wife, my rock, my best friend. Come on over here. Yet. You know, Kim, there is no way that I can do what I'm doing without her support, and she's been behind me 100%. But I just have to tell you a little bit about Kim. You know, she's a compulsive worrier. And she often says, why do you always take on the toughest races? And I just have to tell her that I love this state so much, it doesn't matter what the race is, I'm going to do what it takes for Montana families. You know, I found when I visit with people, it doesn't matter whether they're Republican, they're Democrats, or they're independents, when they get to know me, they realize that my heart is in the right place, and that's why they vote for me. You know, they know that I will listen to their concerns, that I will go to bat with them, for them in Helena, and do what's right for Montana families, no matter what party they prefer. I've had the honor of serving you in the state legislature through the support and the votes of people of all parties. The only way I am going to serve as your next governor is to get that same kind of support statewide. I know how to reach across the aisle. I know how to get things done. My experience as a leader in the House, when it was 50 Republicans and 50 Democrats, proves that I can lead with civility and let all have a part in the process.